My 7-year-old daughter was killed by my in-laws. They used her bone marrow to save their precious grandson. She died on the table. They celebrated. I held her cold little body and jumped from the 18th floor. I didn't die. I opened my eyes 3 days before her death. This time, I am not here to beg. I am here to bury them all. In my first life, when my nephew Ted was diagnosed with leukemia, my daughter Amy was the only match. But Amy had been sickly since birth. The doctors explicitly advised against the donation. To protect the family's golden boy, they all insisted. They drugged me, knocked me unconscious, and dragged my little girl to the operating room. When I came to, the whole family was celebrating. Ted's transplant was a success, and my Amy was lying in the room next door, her small body still and cold. My father and mother-in-law looked at me with faces full of false sympathy. "Don't blame us, Lily," my mother-in-law had said, her voice cloying. "If it had been Amy with leukemia, we would have made Ted donate for her, of course. She just wasn't strong enough to survive." My father-in-law added with a sigh. "It was her fate. She was just unlucky." I was drowning in a sea of rage and despair, screaming for justice for my daughter, but they all pointed their fingers at me, calling me hysterical, irrational. Even my husband Mark stood by silently, his face a mask of indifference. Utterly broken, I carried Amy's body to the highest floor and leaped. I never expected to open my eyes again, but here I am, 3 days before it all began. "Mommy, why are you crying?" A small voice pulled me back to reality. "Was it because I kicked off the blankets last night? Are you mad at me?" I turned, my vision blurred with tears. My daughter Amy, fresh from her nap, was looking up at me with wide, worried eyes. She was only 7, but her gaze held a wisdom that broke my heart. A fresh wave of grief and love washed over me. I pulled her into a fierce embrace, burying my face in her soft hair. "This time, Mommy won't let anyone hurt you. I swear it." I packed a bag, and the first thing I did was drive Amy to my mother's house. Later that afternoon, when I knew Mark would be off work, I called him. "Mark," I began, my voice thick with feigned anguish. "I took Amy for a checkup today. The doctor said she has leukemia." I let a sob escape my lips. "Last time, you all said you'd make Ted donate if Amy were the sick one, didn't you? Let's see how you react to the news now." After hanging up, I drove home alone. When I walked in, my in-laws were fawning over Ted, the picture of domestic bliss. My arrival shattered the cozy atmosphere. The smiles vanished from their faces, replaced by annoyance. Before I could even step fully inside, my mother-in-law rushed forward. "Mark already told us about Amy," she said, her tone sharp and devoid of any sympathy. "We heard that even if you treat this disease, she'll be on medication for life. So, we've discussed it, and we've decided it is better not to treat it. Besides," my father-in-law chimed in, not even looking at me, "you know our financial situation. We just enrolled Ted in that expensive advanced STEM camp. There is simply no extra money for Amy's medical bills. If you insist on treating her," my mother-in-law finished, "you'll have to get the money from your own family." One by one, they all nodded in agreement, sighing about Amy's terrible luck, her unfortunate fate. Their callousness didn't surprise me. I kept up my act, my voice trembling with a desperate plea. "Mom, Dad, my family will cover the costs, but the doctor said she needs a bone marrow transplant. The success rate is highest with a close relative. I came back to ask if he could just get tested to see if he is a match." The air in the living room went still. "Are you trying to ruin your nephew?" My father-in-law slammed his hand on the table, his voice a low growl. "Ted is our precious grandson. I will not allow anyone or anything to harm him." "That is right," my mother-in-law shrieked, as if I'd suggested feeding her grandson to snakes. She threw a dish on the floor, where it shattered. "Ted is your nephew. How can you be so heartless?" The hypocrisy was so thick I could taste it. When their grandson gets sick, they're willing to sacrifice their granddaughter. But when their granddaughter is the one dying, they won't even spare a dime. I let my shoulders slump in pretend defeat. "But Mom, Dad, Amy is your granddaughter too. Can you really just stand by and watch her die?" Seeing my agitation, Mark pulled